Welcome students. In today's class, we will start with the unit number 3, Cloud Computing at Work. Basically, in this particular unit, we are going to look upon certain things related to the software as a service and software plus services. Already in our first unit, we have covered up the certain concepts related to the software as a service. Okay? We know that in the cloud computing provides us three different types of services. First one is a software as a service. Second is platform as a service. And third is the infrastructure or the hardware as a service. The software as a service, as we know, it is something where an application or a software is hosted on the cloud infrastructure or by the vendor that can be accessed by the user on their machines. Only thing is that they just require the internet connectivity and a computing device just to access the softwares which have been hosted on the cloud. So in this particular unit, we are going to look upon certain standard examples for the softwares, and then we will look upon the something called as a software plus services. In the software plus services, we are going to look briefly discuss certain concepts, how the mobile device integration helps us in binding the software as a service product into the mobile devices. Software plus service is basically whatever the softwares which are there as a part of software as a services that can be accessed via using the web browsers, those are basically integrated as an apps, right? And those can be accessed very easily from the smartphones basically. Okay, so those concepts we are going to briefly discuss under the software plus services. Now, just now I explained that software as a service means it is basically all the softwares or the application is hosted on the vendor side or the what we call it as a service provider. So we just access all those services through the internet. One of the best example we can take for the SaaS, that is software as a service, is the webmail services. We all use the webmail services, especially most of us, we use the Google, that is Gmail. So what actually the Gmail is nothing but a software as a service, right? So that webmail entire service or the mail server is hosted on the Google's cloud, and we access our mails either through our apps, mobile apps, or through the web browser. When we access it from the web browser, it is like we're trying to access a software as a services from our computer. We need not to have our own handheld devices or our own laptops. Anywhere, if we find a computer with the internet connectivity, if the browser is installed on that particular machine, we can access to the webmail service. Right? Some of the other examples for the mail services can be a Hotmail or a Yahoo Mail. The Google is most popular webmail services which we are using. The data which is been put up over here, it relates to the 2010 decade. So because the textbook is the prescribed textbook for this particular subject was written somewhere in 2010 during that particular time. So the data talks about that. But in the current market, we can say Google or the Gmail has more popularity. Okay? Now, the categorizations to the SaaS products, we can do it in two different terms. First one is line of business services, and the second is customer oriented services. Now, the category themselves speaks here what they are intended for. The line of business service means these are the certain SaaS products which are business oriented. When we say business oriented, that means these are targeted upon certain businesses or the small organizations or the companies. Since they are targeted on a particular businesses or the companies, then definitely the vendor or the service provider may not give it for a free of a cost. They may demand for a certain prices. right? They are going to sell or rent the services or the SaaS products to those particular companies. So we can say they are sold via subscription services. So when we say subscription services, it can be like, we know that the cloud is something, whatever we use, how long we use, we can pay only that much of money, right? So most of the time, all these SaaS products which are related to the business services or the business oriented, they are sold via the subscription services. The customer can demand for 15 days, they can demand for a month, they can even demand for a 1 year. Whatever they use, how long they use, depending upon that, the customer has a flexibility to pay certain amount to the vendors or the service providers. Okay. Some of the examples related to the business oriented we are going to look upon in the upcoming sessions. The second category is the customer oriented services. When we say customer oriented services, these are something which are given to the individuals, right? When we say that individuals, for an example, the Gmail, we don't pay anything to Google when we access the Gmail accounts and all, because they, most of the time, the products or the SaaS products which are part of the customer oriented services or an individual level, they are free of a cost, right? And certain things can be sold via the subscription services also. So how basically this works is that the primitive type of the features they will provide to an end user, and they will make it to be a free services. When they make it to be a free services, they, instead of getting the money from the customer or the user, they try to do certain type of advertisements, right? And if they want to, if the customer wants to get rid of those advertisements, or they want to go for a advanced type of a features in that particular SaaS product, then they have to pay certain amount to the vendors, right? In that case, the SaaS products can be, the advanced level of SaaS products can be viewed or used by the users. The best example here I can give of a YouTube, right? YouTube, we are using YouTube in our day-to-day life. We get a lot of advertisements in that. Now, probably you might have seen certain things there. When you try to open a YouTube, or in middle, you may get a certain pop-up or the type of a messages where you want to get rid of the advertisements. If you want to get rid of advertisements, you have to go for a YouTube advanced versions or a prime type of a prime versions. If you want to go for that, you need to pay certain money to the Google. This is how the free services works with respect to the customer oriented SaaS products. We will also look into certain examples related to the customer oriented services in the upcoming classes. The advantages and the disadvantages of SaaS already we have studied in our unit. In detail, we have discussed about all these points. The videos are already available in the YouTube channel, students. You can go and refer to those particular videos for the advantages and disadvantages of the SaaS products. Now, here in today's class, we will try to focus more on something called as the driving force. So what basically, or why these particular SaaS products are getting more popularity? What is the what are the parameters, or what are the things which makes this SaaS more popular? Right? We are going to discuss on those particular aspects. The first one is the popularity. Now, how this is popularity is a driving force for the SaaS products. Think like, when suppose if there is, assume that if there is one particular software, that software has to be installed on a particular computer in order to utilize or in order to use that particular software. Now, suppose if that particular software gets crashed, or if your computer gets crashed, then no more you are going to access that particular software, right? Now, alternatively, suppose if that particular software can be accessed directly from the cloud as a SaaS or the software as a service, even though suppose if something happens to your computer, then you need not to worry about the software. You can access the same software which has been hosted on the cloud from any other computer, So isn't that the popularity of those particular software increases? Definitely, right? So the popularity is one of the most driving factor of the growing software as a service products. Second is software vendor love it. There are a lot of software vendors who are willing to develop certain services and provide it to the users. When certain softwares are getting certain demands from the user, then the knowledgeable persons or the knowledgeable vendors try to develop their own software and host it on the cloud. And the access can be given to the users. Initially, they will, most of the time, the business runs like this. They will give it for a free for a particular amount of a time, say for a 1 month or a 3 months. And after that, if they wish to continue, they need to pay. So the revenue will be generated by the vendors. Third is enterprises love it. So enterprises here means the businesses. It can be a small businesses or a big businesses, the organizations basically. Now, since if someone is going to approach for the cloud infrastructure, then they no need to install any of the softwares on their machines. Since they are not installing, the installation charges, the purchase of the softwares, with more the maintenance of the software need not to be performed or done by the organization employees. Since everything is a cloud based, everything will be taken care by the vendors themselves. In that case, the organization think that, okay, this is something very good for us. We need not to work upon its maintenance, its installation, anything. We just need to pay whatever software we want to access and how long they want to access. For that particular period only, they will pay to the vendors or the service providers and use it. So it is a profitable for the enterprises as well or the organizations as well. So that is again another driving factor or the driving force for the SaaS products. And the next one is plenty of SaaS platforms. So when we say plenty of SaaS platforms, here we're trying to understand this particular point with respect to a big vendors like the Google, IBM, or it can be Microsoft or AWS, Amazon Web Services. All these big, the organizations, okay, they are already having a platform with them, and this they just need to make use of those platforms and provide the necessity software to the users. The next point, virtualization benefits. We know virtualization means on a physical hardware, one single physical hardware, we can install multiple operating systems. It can be operating system, it can be networks, or it can be even files. Multiple virtualized systems can be hosted on a single physical hardware, right? So since there are a lot of advantages of the virtualization, by making use of the virtualization, the SaaS products can be hosted on the cloud. For an example, if there is a particular hardware, say a big configuration hardware used by the vendor, what they would do is that they will make the different virtualization on that. They will install different virtualization layer on that. They may create one virtualized system for a Windows machine, say 5 Windows machines, a couple of Linux machines. Then there are different types of users who want to access those particular machines. On a single piece, now they have certain 8 different virtualized operating system running. That means 8 different users can access a single hardware at a time. And every time when they get connected to the system, they are using their own operating system. That is their own different types of the operating systems. So that is what the virtualization of the advantages of virtualization comes into picture. And the other advantage or the driving factor for the SaaS product is service-oriented architecture. So what is this service-oriented architecture? Service-oriented architecture is something where the IT field develop the softwares which are demanded by the users. Now, the era earlier was whatever the development or whatever the IT company used to develop certain softwares, the users will use those things. Now it is changed. The demand, what the customer have, based upon that demand, the IT infra or the IT development team developed those particular software and host it onto the cloud. That is what the service oriented architecture. And finally, by doing all these things, the economic impact will increase, both that is for the organizations or the end users and for the vendors or the service providers. It is kind of a win-win situation, we can say. Both the parties will earn a good amount of money in that. So for your point of examination, students, the driving forces is very, very important. Each one of these points you need to elaborate it in a couple of sentences and explain it. If it comes for the 5 marks, or if it comes for the 10 marks, then you are supposed to elaborate these points in 4 to 5 sentences. In the next couple of slides, we are going to look upon certain SaaS products which have been offered by different vendors. Okay, now here we are going to look upon something related to the business oriented. Okay, some of the examples are business oriented here. The first one is Intuit QuickBooks. So Intuit QuickBooks is nothing but it is a software which is designed for the accounting purpose. The Intuit Incorporation company has designed this particular software. So again, this software is hosted on the cloud. So what this particular Intuit can do? Intuit can perform all the financial things. The financial related activities can be performed through the Intuit. You can just try to think something as Intuit QuickBooks is nothing but an accounting database of a particular vendor. Like there is a particular small business and they want to go for an cloud infrastructure, wherein all their accounting has to be automated and all those accounting details or the data is uploaded onto a cloud database. You can say a protected cloud database, and that particular details can be accessed anywhere by the users. So basically this Intuit QuickBooks is targeted on the small businesses. So what type of activities can be performed? Any type related to the accounting stuffs like accepting the payments, managing the payments, paying bills, or the payroll functions. So you can now try to think something related to Intuit, what you use. Suppose if you have a particular banking, you have a particular account in a particular bank, then definitely they would have come up with certain mobile apps which will help you to do the online transactions, right? In the other way, you can think of something as a GPay. So what this particular GPay is, Google Pay, right? You can register your own bank account, and using that particular bank account, you can perform online bankings. That is, you can do the payments, you can receive, you can pay the bills, you can even request for a money from your friends, right? Everything can be automated over there. You can perform the automated payments also. You can set particular date, and on that particular date, you want to do the automated paying or the automated payment of your electricity bills, or it can be phone bills or any type of a bills. Similar to that, this particular Intuit QuickBooks performs those activities for a businesses. So when we say businesses, means there can be a small business running and you want to handle all the accounting stuffs, right? So if your business is having certain customers, you might be selling certain products to your customers. So in turn that you get a certain revenue from that. So everything can be automated and can be hosted on the cloud. Right? QuickBooks does those activities. Now again, as I said, certain things are given for a free of a cost, certain things are given as a payment mode. Right? So again, QuickBooks has a different versions over there. One is the free version where they give a limited features, and the advanced features can be obtained by having a type of a QuickBooks Online Plus, right? So where automated billing can be managed. Certain features of the QuickBooks: 24/7 access to the cloud data. That means anytime if you want to access your data, you can. The server on the backend would be running, and you can get to know the details about the accounts. Automated online banking can be performed. As I explained earlier, the automated banking, all the online banking can be automated. On a particular date, we can set the payment of certain bills, or whenever certain bills are generated, those can be made automated. Payment can be set for that. Reliable automatic data backup. So reliable automatic data backup means whenever we are going for a cloud infrastructure, we think whether is it a reliable or not, whether the data whatever we store on the cloud, is it reliable or is there a safety or not, right? All these data, whatever data that has been uploaded onto the QuickBooks data server is reliable. They have a good firewall setup, and in that particular firewall protected servers, they store all the data. They do also have a SSL encryptions. We have studied about the SSL encryption in the previous unit. Easy account management. So easy account management means the payments and the account payments and the account receivable, tracking the customer invoices or the payments can be managed very effectively. And in order to do all these things, the one need not to install any software on their computer. They just need to access this particular software through the web browser. That is the big advantage of the QuickBooks, or we can say the SaaS, software as a service. So QuickBooks basically tries to give certain flexibility or the features where a small businesses can handle their accounting stuffs. In the advanced version of the accounts or the QuickBooks, they have a support for the iPhone devices and the BlackBerry devices. So all the things which can be performed through the browser can also be performed on the iPhone and the BlackBerry. You may find this particular word, the BlackBerry device, interesting. As I said earlier, this particular data belongs to 2010 decade. So this QuickBook, the data which we are looking upon here is based upon the 2010. Now probably you may find QuickBook irrelevant in this particular gender or this particular year. So these are the couple of points related to the iPhone and BlackBerry. You can go through this. The next one is Google. Okay, the SaaS products that are being given by the Google, we have in detail studied it in the previous unit. Okay, like the Gmail, Calendar, the Google Talk, where in the instant messages and the voice over IP, or that is VoIP, what we call it as, customizable websites, or usually something related to the domain name services they provide, the Google Docs or the spreadsheets, right? These particular, the Gmail can be accessed from the BlackBerry devices, and for every account, the account level security can be set up. So all these are the Google SaaS products that have been given to the vendors or the users in the 2010 decade. Now we have the advanced version of all these apps that are being currently used. So this also, the Premier Edition features also we have gone through. Again, this data is of 2010. The third one we are going to look upon is something related to the Microsoft OLSP, Office Live Small Business. For your point of examination, you may get a 1 mark or 2 mark question where expand OLSP, Office Live Small Business. The OLSP, it is targeted on the small businesses. Again, so how basically the small businesses can make use of this particular OLSP? Suppose you are trying to run a particular business and you want to have a customer oriented data, which usually we call it to be a CRM, customer relation management, where you want to collect the details of the data of a particular customers, store it in your database, and use those particular data for your advertisement, for your sales purpose, or you can use those particular data for interacting or promoting your products, right? So end to end, the customer, that is what we call it to be a CRM, in order to perform those activities, right? The OLSP helps. But unfortunately, this OLSP was closed in 2012, but it was rebranded and made available to the users or the businesses as Office 365 Business. I think in the 2013, probably they have started using the Office 365 Business. So certain features related to the OLSP are custom domain name registrations. So custom domain name registration here, the Microsoft allows a particular account holder to establish 100 different emails on their customized domain name. So the user here, the business user, can purchase this OLSP. Once they purchase, they get a flexibility of creating their own customized domain, and in that particular domain they can register 100 different email accounts. Once these different email accounts are registered, they can give it to their own customers, and those particular emails can be used for communication between the customers and the vendors. The CRM, that is the customer relationship management software, is inbuilt in OLSP, which produces a type of reports, the sales, promotions, advertisements, all can be done using the CRM softwares. Web hosting, by creating the SharePoint sites. So web hosting, something the SharePoint, probably you might not have heard earlier. SharePoint is something customized website that is being hosted on their web servers. Let me give you an example of the SharePoint, how it looks like. Now, this is one of the SharePoint which I am accessing here. Right now, this particular SharePoint I am using, I have created it for the 4th semester students, one of the subject. Right now, it is not customized, but it can be customized. Right, this particular website can be given. Think that I'm running a particular business. Okay, now for example here, I'm trying to handle one particular subject for a particular semester. Right, so the things that will happen in that particular semester, the updates, the recordings, or the communication between the students and the teachers can be made interactively by creating or by designing certain domains or the SharePoints, right? Wherein we can try to have the feeds. Now you can see the activities. It is displaying the what are the activities that have happened in this particular SharePoint. Right? If this URL is given to the users or the users of this particular organization, then they have an access to see what are the things happening in this particular website. And even if they have certain content to be discussed, right, they can discuss within the closed group. When I say closed group, it means this particular SharePoint, different users can be added. If they are added, then they will be able to access only this particular website or this particular SharePoint. They will not be able to access any other SharePoints. For an example here, let me show you one of the other pages. Give me a moment. Check whether it is accessible here. No, it's not accessible. I have another SharePoint, another this is the other SharePoint which I have created, wherein the BCA faculty members have been added upon here. If we want to communicate among ourselves, if we want to upload certain data, we want to access, or we want to send it across to all the faculty members, then this particular website can be used. Only the members which are added to this particular SharePoint will be having access to do that. And even individual user level or the account level, the securities can be put upon. Securities in the sense, we can make certain admins. Admins will be having a privilege to edit the this particular SharePoint, they can be having a privilege to add few more members. If the members have been added as a normal users, then they will have just access to view the content or to upload the documents, but they may not be having access to add few more or any other members to the group. Again, you can see this is the private group. Private group means only the members of this particular SharePoint can use it. We can even make a public group. So all the organization or the members of those particular organization can access the SharePoints if it is made as a public group. Like this, the SharePoint can be used if we have the Office 365 business. Okay. The next point is the synchronization with the Microsoft Office Outlook. Again, this word is something, or the term is new to Microsoft Office Outlook. Basically, Outlook is a kind of a webmail or the software that has been designed by the Microsoft in order to have the webmail architecture or a type of a mailing software. Whenever a user or a business purchases the OLSB or the Microsoft Office Business Suites, then they get an customized domain name email IDs. Using that particular email IDs, the email communications can be performed. So in order to perform these email communications, application is required or a software is required. That software is nothing but the Microsoft Outlook or Microsoft Office Outlook. Microsoft Outlook does not only limit itself to the Microsoft email IDs. We can even configure the Gmail in Microsoft Office also, that is Microsoft Outlook also. I will just try to show you both the things here. The first one is here. This is the Outlook, which has been synchronized with our business activities, or we can say all the CRMs or the SharePoints. Whatever things happen in the SharePoints, there will be mails triggered to the account. So this is a Outlook of that. So from here, I can receive the mail. This interface or the application help me to read the mails, compose the mails, and send those particular mails to the other persons. Right? Whenever you can see certain mails over here, like this is integrated with the OneDoc also, that is OneDrive as well. If anything happens in the OneDrive, those mails are also being communicated to the Outlook. From here, we can access the mails. We can access our calendars. Again, calendar, Microsoft Calendar is also integrated with this. Right? We can on a one-to-one, we can contact or communicate with the people. We can access the Word, that is online Word, online Excel, all other softwares. All these softwares are basically a SaaS products. Or even directly we can start the meetings to the Outlooks. This is the web view of the Outlook, wherein I'm able to access the customized domain email ID. Right? As I said earlier, Outlook doesn't only give access to use the customized domain email IDs, but also we can integrate or we can configure the other email IDs or the other email services on it. Like we can configure Gmail on our Outlook. In order to do that, we need to install its standalone applications. For an example, let me try to show you that also. Okay, now here. Now, this is the Outlook which has been installed on this particular computer. In order to access this Outlook that has been configured with the Gmail account, that can be done only by installing the application on the particular device. We can install it on a laptop or a computer, or we can even install it on our mobile devices. So this particular Outlook here, it is an application, client application that has been given, wherein we can receive the emails and we can compose, and there are a lot of good features about it. Probably you may not be able to access or use these features if you are just using a web-based Gmail or a Gmail app. moving on to the further concepts. Compatible with Firefox 2.0 web browser. Again, this is outdated, we can say. This Firefox 2.0, it was related to the 2013 data. Now it can be accessed on, the OLSP can be accessed on different types of the web browser. We can say all the web browsers. Okay. All these OLSP features were made available on the Mac and Windows PCs. And it enables the vendors or the customers for performing their email marketing, okay, wherein they can send the newsletters, they can provide the promotions, or they can update their customers. Basically, we can say the customer relationship management. So again, for the point of examination students, the Microsoft OLSP is important for your exams, the upcoming exams. You can additionally try to learn the different features which are available as part of Microsoft Office 365. Okay. Now also this Microsoft Office 365 business no more exists. They have rebranded it to a new terms